Hello folks, bit of interesting law for you here, and it's basically the crutch of everything if you give this some of your attention. Now, it's going to need your attention even after I've given my expression of it, because I'm not going to go into gory details, but we will define certain words, because this is extremely important as the foundation of what it is you're dealing with when you're speaking in terms of man, person, all right, trust. Yeah. So it's exceptionally important and has to be grasped. The more you grasp this, the better you will communicate your intentions, or your will, as it were. So, jurisprudence, or the theory of law. Okay, so this is the theory of law, and it's by John Salmond, the third edition. And this is double personality. Okay, so listen very carefully. It says, it often happens that a single human being possesses a double personality. He is one man, but two persons. Unus homo. It is said, pluris personas sustinct. So let's just have a look at unus homo. So first, when you look for definitions on this, I was quite shocked at what I found, because in looking for the term unus, what appeared to come up more than anything was this. Unus, Juenas, or Venus, as the Yanks call it. So we're talking about penis, are we? I don't know. Ignore that little bit. That's me being facetious on a Friday. So anyway, also spelled Unis, it says, was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Ooh. Pharaoh. Okay. So unus homo. Is it pharaoh's homo? Which might make sense when we look at the definition of homo in a little bit. So let's just continue. It says, Unus was an Egyptian pharaoh, the ninth and last ruler of the 5th dynasty during the Old Kingdom. So this is going back. This is Old Kingdom stuff. Unus reigned for 15 to 30 years in the mid-24th century BC. Little is known of Unus's activities during his reign, which was a time of economic decline. One would then be attempting to counter the decline by inventing some kind of system, would one not? Is that possible? I think it might be. So, Egypt maintained trade relations with the Levantine coast and Nubia, and military action may have taken place in southern Canaan. The growth and decentralization of the administration, in conjunction with the lessening of the king's power, continued under Unas, ultimately contributing to the collapse of the Old Kingdom some 200 years later. Unus built a pyramid in Saqqara, the smallest of the royal pyramids completed during the Old Kingdom. The accompanying mortuary complex, with its high and valley temples linked by a 750-metre-long causeway, was lavishly decorated with painted reliefs, whose quality and variety surpassed the usual royal iconography. So Unus is defined as an Egyptian pharaoh who were busy trying to sort things out during the decline of the economy of Egypt in the Old Kingdom. So, homo, basically the definition is any of a genus of hominids, and that includes modern humans, Homo sapiens, and several extinct related species such as Homo erectus and Homo habilis. So, homo is anything that runs around on two legs. Okay. And Unus would be an Egyptian pharaoh. Are we looking at the beginnings of this division of man to person for commerce, which is quite possible, given that whatever Unus were up to, who created Unus's homos, and we're not being facetious there, we're using it in its correct term, two-legged critters who all run around on person, because this not really right. Anyway, just thought. So we've looked at unus homo there, so we'll get back to the old shindig of the jurisprudence or theory of law. Okay, where are we now? So, I think we better start again because that took you on a bit of a blag. So, sit, coffee, or whatever, and we will continue from the beginning again. It says double personality. It often happens that a single human being possesses a double personality. He is one man, but two persons. Unus homo. It is said, pluribus personas distinct. In one capacity, or in one right, as English lawyers say. So, capacity or ability, and the way the English law has been formed, they use the term right. So, capacity and right are the same things we get from that. Or in one right, as English lawyers say, he may have legal relationship with himself. So, you look at the entry of birth, which is the first title created of man and was held and is held by Rome without any surname. So, yeah. So you can see here this quite possibly Egyptian format of commerce and title may have been part of what we as an English law nation was operating from, and maybe they all are. Maybe it's quite possible. So he may have legal relationship with himself, or owe money to himself, or transfer property to himself via the legal person. So even with this, you can see there is a distinction in law between man, person. Yeah, it's a fact, basically. Every contract, debt, obligation, or assignment requires two persons, but these persons may be the same human being. The double personality exists chiefly in the case of trusteeship. Okay? A trustee is a person in whom the property of another is nominally vested, to the extent that he may represent the other in the management and protection of it. Okay? So, as man, you would be settled a beneficiary, and you would assign a trustee, yeah, to represent you, or to manage what it is you own as property. Okay? So a trustee is a part of a trust, but is carrying out functions dictated by the beneficiary. Okay? Who's the settler in most cases as well. That's assumed immediate, isn't it? You're the beneficiary, so therefore you are the settler. That would be correct. So, that is rather interesting and brings to the fore the reason why these trusts operate in three parts. Trustee, beneficiary, executor, settler. You know, there's various terms for the settler. Yep, okay. We do have another one which is grantor as well. So there's various terms, but they basically break down to the three-part trust. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? And they're just variations of trying to explain powers afforded to each role in a trust. Okay, so the trustee is basically the lesser position in a trust, which is why we use the term man with special interest in the trust, especially the birth certificate trust, which holds the surname, because in most cases that's what you're being assumed to be operating on. that when you present yourself as settlor and beneficiary, you've taken two positions. Yeah? You're a double personality there. And thus, anyone else involved in any action in relation to that trust, you then by definition have put them in the position of trustee. And they're there to represent the beneficiary and or management of what the beneficiary owns, which is your estate. So when you go to court, what they do is put you in the position of trustee in that trust. The judge will take beneficiary, the prosecutor will take executor, and they may swap those roles as required during any case or hearing, as it were. So does that help to you to grasp why it's important that you do actually take the time to fully understand what a trust is by definition of the law that created it, or the theory that created it, you know? So it's so important, because once you start to meld that in your mind, this is where your confidence in your standing comes from, because you can fully communicate it, because you fully understand it, you see? So there is no, you cannot blag this process that I'm bringing to you, but it's not a one-man show. There are others with me who are basically teaching me this. Let's be quite frank about it. So it's a process, and it's a process that doesn't need any other jurisdiction, because it's the commanding level of all the jurisdictions that may come from off person. Okay. It says, so a trustee is as a person in whom the property of another is nominally vested to the extent that he may represent that other, the beneficiary, in the management and the protection of the assets in possession of the beneficiary. Okay. It says a trustee, therefore, is for many purposes two persons in the eye of the law. So a trustee is therefore seen as two persons. In right or capacity of his beneficiary, right? So on behalf of the beneficiary, is one person. Yeah. And in his own right, who he is himself, he is another. So this trust thing is how we divide ourselves up into a double personality. Flesh and blood, paper. Yeah. Commerce. Yeah. Honestly, as this is about the fourth time I've read this now, and each time I'm reading it, I just get that little bit deeper insight into the theory of law. So naturally then, if we are to all try and understand the law, this is where you start. We've all started up here, haven't we, and worked our way down, as it were. Back engineering. Well, yeah, let's invert that, and let's start at the beginning. It brings better insights, I have to say, and more confidence. Okay, in the one capacity, he may owe money to himself. So if you put money, if you've earned your cash through your labour, you will put that in a bank, which is in the trust of your person. In essence, then, you actually owe money to yourself, because you're the man, the money's there, but you've put it into the trust of your person. In so doing, when you don't understand that mechanic, that's where the parasite is getting in and basically just taking full control of your trust and then bumming you senseless. Yeah? That's basically what's going on. So, yeah, so you're the man, you've earned your crust, you put the cash in the bank, you've put it in the trust of your birth certificate title, which then owes you that money, so you draw it out. This new system that they're putting in, it's credit. Okay, so you're not able to go and earn your own do your own, have your own, this beast system is going to offer you credit. And it's going to offer you credit based on how well you bend over and open your anus for it to get in. So you're getting shots. You're dancing to the shit and the nonsense. I've noticed today, for some reason, there must be shit going on the telly. People are out and out again with the nappy on the gob. You know, you're really so stupid this far down that you're not recognising what damage is being caused to everything. You know? You people, if you don't, you are lost. You are lost to everything if you don't snap out of this absolute garbage. Yeah. So that's explaining, you split yourself up, so you've earned it, you put it in there, and it owes you back, you throw it out. But that's going to change, because you're going to be issued credit by this system, as they can take it away as you defy it in any way, shape, or form. All right. This is what's being put in now with this passport. This is what this is about. It's about, so they're going to shortage everything as they are, in order to give them the capacity then to enforce this, to get in to buy food. You see how, so first they have to shortage everything, because so first they had to control everything. So they took the farmers off the ball by giving them subsidies to do nothing, and grow rapeseed for diesel. You know, that's changing now because we've had Brexit, so now they're altering it in a different way. You know, we do need to look at who these farmers are today. Who are they? Who are they that believe that the land that they own belongs to them, and that they can take it away from the population for the very essential thing of food? Not only that, they would refuse to actually grow it because they're dancing to somebody else's tune. Yeah. We need to look at these farmers, because I've been following one guy on the Facebook, and there are a lot of things I like because what he's saying is correct, but then there's other things and I just think, wait a minute, sunshine, just a little minute. Just let me see where you're really at here. And that didn't help matters when he had Rees-Mogg on his farm, and I thought, yeah, this guy's got connections. What kind of connections are we talking about here? Can you dig? Because all the landed gentry, which it would appear to be, are now doing is enforcing, raising the concerns of their own privacy and ability to stop people going on the land, and they're using the protesters in order to uphold, so that they can demand more power of over trespass and such. So you've got to keep your eyes on this, because these bums are cute. And I'm watching this guy, he comes across okay, but then I'm not so sure, to be honest. But that remains to be seen. It's just how it's looking at the moment. I'm not making conclusions. We're just saying we have to look at all sides when we're looking at these people. What is the real agenda? Okay, where we are. In one capacity, he may owe money to himself, in the other. Yeah, and in one capacity, he may own an encumbrance over property which belongs to himself, in the other. So that's a mortgage. So an encumbrance is a lien, a claim, something that's set against a property. So if you have to own a property outright and then you go and get a mortgage on it, you've created an encumbrance, but it's the person who has got that encumbrance. You really, as man, still own that property, but you've created an encumbrance through the person. So that encumbrance is tied to him. And as long as you remain that person, the trustee, in this shenanigans, the mortgage lender can take that away. If you assert this side of it, as the man, the owner, the beneficiary, they can't. So can you see how England was such a great nation in its, probably even before Alfred, because Alfred only pulled in the laws that were already here, and formed England, you know. So it's way older, and it's way older than Rome also. So this isn't even a Roman. What England is, if you want to call it England, which is a bit facetious because it wasn't England. It was the British Isles, and it were broken up into different tribal areas. And depending how far you go back will depend on how many areas you find. If you go back to a certain point, there were very few areas, and they were mainly down the south, but you could say from maybe even as far down as Anglia, right up to almost top of Scotland. That was one block. And then over time, as we got these incursions of other, what I would class as Byzantine incursions through the Northmen, etc., it slowly got broke up into regions. So the original laws that we class as England actually belong to what Scotland calls itself, to what Wales calls itself, right down to Land's End. The entire thing was basically the British Isles, and these were her laws. Alfred only pulled them together in 800 AD under the church. So all that were formed under Alfred, then titles, etc., would have been collected by the church and administered that way. So this is what they've done, basically. Now, as we are still trying to investigate on these videos, because we don't know, was the church ever a force for good? Or has it always been a trap? We don't know. You know, we don't know. It's. I mean, it's certainly showing itself now today as being the worst thing it could be, but has it been taken over? You know, it's double-edged, isn't it? That, let's be quite frank. Because, of course, you've come off man and you're operating on person, and you've give the church originally, the capacity of trustee for your estate, which is everything your ancestors built. So, you know, if you're running around thinking, well, I can get money off me here and pay cash, you're really not getting it. You're stuck in Admiralty. You're stuck there. It doesn't matter how genius you are with it. That's where you are. You are in Admiralty. You are not in. You're not in English law, and you're certainly not in the higher form of law. So. It says, in one capacity may own money to himself, in the other. In one capacity may own an encumbrance over property which belongs to himself in the other. He may be his own creditor, or his creditors as his executor. Or a testator appoints one if creditors as his executor, or makes one of his tenants the trustee of his land. Not sure I fully understand that, and I probably didn't know much by the way I read it. But if we are to look at a testator, it's... So now this is a noun, and it's a deceased person. Yeah? So a dead person has appointed somebody as executor of his will. Yeah? Again, it's all being carried out on this other personality. And if you don't understand that your power over that, the parasites got in and turned it all to its own benefit, and they've created the fiat system, the banking system, that's now collapsing. So it's this garbage system that's collapsing, not the system of man. Are you getting what's being said there? Because it's so important. People poo-poo this man. It's by far the greatest title to pull into this mix, because man is in the Creator's image. You with me? There is no higher authority than that. So that's it's a deceased person, basically, okay? And then leaves his will to be carried out by an executor or trustee, whatever capacity. It's usually executor of a will, as I think you all know. In all such cases, were it not for the recognition of a double personality, the obligation or encumbrance would be destroyed by merger or confusio, as the Romans call it. For two persons at least are requisite for the existence of a legal relation. No man can in his own right be under any obligation to himself or own any encumbrance over his own property. So as a man, you can't own an encumbrance on it. Yeah? Or an obligation by any other. The crown. Anything else. Nothing else. Because you can't own the obligation to anybody else. You can contract via the legal person. All right? So your entry of birth give the church the role as executor, trustee. You remain the beneficiary, which is why it's said to be the credit account. You're supposed to be benefiting on that side from Rome. Not Rome the Empire, this is Rome the church, okay? The preaching of the gospel, not collecting of the cash, yeah? Collecting of the power over people by knowing everything that's going on about them so that you can grass them up and cause havoc and bring judgment on them by your own means. Yeah, so you've become, we've gone through that. You intercede between you and the Creator, your Father. They become. So we've gone through that in past anyway. You know what I'm saying? And it's so. No man can, in his own right, be under any obligation to himself or own any encumbrance over his own property. Nulla res so servit. Okay, which means no one can have a servitude over his own property. Yeah, your property cannot be open to any form of servitude to any other. But once you've gone into this trustee system, especially the secondary title with the surname, which the Crown openly owns, if you don't know how to use that and your capacity and standing with it, your interest in it, because that's what it is, then the parasite will run riot and you are not aware of it. You are not aware of this mechanic. Can you dig it? Friday sermon over. Till the next time.